Anyway, to get started, it should be 20 minutes. Not, you can stop me if I'm going on for too long. So the magic, alchemy, how can you turn digital bits, into real money, into euros, dollars, yen, what do you want? And here you have the transactions, yeah. And the Austrian shilling, the coin base is the biggest mountain, Großglockner, Großvenediger, and you get the shillings. So this looks, silly, but how can you make it into real cash? And it's simple, blockchain, 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 You put it on the blockchain and the magic happened, It's real money. And what's a blockchain, Decentralized payments, decentralized transaction, decentralized banks, or it's not decentralized banks, it's fuck the banks, because you don't need banks anymore. And so what is a blockchain? A blockchain it's a distributed database, it's a hyperledger accounting book, it's consensus with proof of work or proof of stake, digital fingerprints, cryptographic magic hashes, it's a lottery, central bank, Byzantine general solutions, So that's all the magic, blockchain, blockchain, Yes, 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 yes. So that's, I have open what's blockchain, a page to collect, what's blockchain. But these are all, it's not all the magic of the blockchain. And of course, the proof of the pudding in English is a proverb. How can you check if a pudding is good? You have to eat it, and then if it tastes good, then, the proof of the pudding is that it was work. And so the proof of the pudding, if I'm a crazy guy or whatever, can I prove that this blockchain magic works? And so the proof of the pudding is the Bitcoin blockchain, billions of dollars, real money, it's no joke. So it's working, And of course, the joke with Bitcoin nowadays is it was the blockchain, but now there are many Bitcoin blockchains, Bitcoin Classic Gold, Bitcoin Silver, Bitcoin Ruby, Bitcoin Platinum, and Bitcoin Shilling. But it will be BitShilling without Bitcoin. So it's an incredible success story. And the world first Bitcoin payment. So a guy on the mailing list said, I give you 10,000 Bitcoins. The first person who sends me a pizza, I give you 10,000 Bitcoins. And what did they say? They said, fuck you, we don't need your Bitcoins, they are worth nothing, And they had on the email, so they were selling Bitcoins, so the estimated worth was about $40 at this time, And so somebody called Pepe Johns and sent this guy a pizza. I think and so he got 10,000 Bitcoins, And now the question is, it's like the national day, they celebrated $20 million pizza day. But, that's for the purpose of the magic to turn it into money. And anybody knows how much it worth today, 10,000 Bitcoins? So I updated the chart. The highest was like $20,000 for a single Bitcoin. And I think now it's about 5,000, today might be, 5,000 US dollars, 5,000 euros. And what's to build a blockchain, from scratch, from zero? It's like there was in a job posting for a full stack crypto god blockchain developer, because you have to be a crypto god to work with blockchain. All the money, all the magic, billions of dollars you create out of nothing. So blockchain so is and the message is, it's a linked list. So if somebody comes to you, can you handle an area, a linked list? So there's no magic. The message is, yes, you can, You don't have to be afraid to build a blockchain. And let's build a blockchain in 20 lines. So I'm not adding the blank lines. You just have to count because I posted it online, and then somebody say, oh, these are 22 lines. It's not 20 lines or something, So the blank lines are not counted, and you can make it, more compact to wrap it up. So if it's 30 lines or 20 lines, there was a article that's like more, it has 200 lines, but it doesn't. But the important message is a blockchain, there are different levels. There's the blockchain network, the big network, and then there's the blockchain database, it's the second. But at the basic core is the blockchain is just a data structure, like an array. So can you imagine, the Austrian economist minister, he's starting a linked list Austria initiative. If you don't adopt the linked list, you will, and don't evolve, you die. So it's like, an array. Array Austria. There's the blockchain, if you don't know, there's blockchain Austria, from the Austrian government, a 10-point plan, so that we survive in the future from the government-sponsored blockchain Austria. Anyway, so here you see the complete code of the blockchain. What is the magic? A blockchain is a list of block or a chain of Blockkette, and the magic part are the crypto hashes. The crypto hashes, another word for crypto hashes is a digital fingerprint or a digest. And here we have the block, and we have the hash. So to make it easy, usually you work with bytes, but in this simple example, I use strings. So the hash is the 32 byte string. Then we have a previous hash, which is a reference to the previous block. Then we have the transactions. So in this case, my transactions are in the data string. That's the payload, which are the transactions. And then we have a little a timestamp. And as a random date, I picked 1970. That's the day I was born. That's, not Jesus Christ. In 1970, it's the new era, epoch. So kidding, it's Unix, at the birth of Unix. And they start the first second. And so the timestamp is just the integer. And the magic part is this calculating the hash. And calculating the hash, the crypto, everything is done in Go. There's a crypto package, and there are different algorithms. And so we pick the Bitcoin secure hash algorithm, 256 bits. But that's the, you give it the bytes, and it gives you back the hash. And I convert the hash from binaries to a string. And to create a new block, to mine new blocks, you give the block the data, the transactions. You have to have the reference to your previous block. Then you add the timestamp. Is time now Unix? Unix gives you the Unix seconds. And then you calculate the hash. And I calculate the hash by using the transactions, the previous hash, and the timestamp. And then this gives me back 65 characters, hex characters, or 32 bytes. Because, one hex character are four bits. 1 byte has 8 bits. And 256 if you multiply. Anyway, and return new block. That's a fully working blockchain. And am I kidding? Let's build a real blockchain. So the real blockchain is, we start block 0. It's the genesis, birth, the beginning of everything, the genesis block. And so the genesis block has no parent, has no previous. What is the solution? What hash do you put in? And so to get the inspiration from Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin, so the genesis block, how do you know it's the genesis block? They are using, so it's 64, these are 32 byte, 256 bits, and 64, so in this case 64 hex characters. So that's the previous hash. It's all 0, and that's the genesis. And so for the block, for the next block, we just put in the hash for the previous block, And then it's the joke about an area. Usually, you know, the link is by hash. What's the ID of a block? The ID of the unique ID of a block is the hash. You know? And if you link the blocks, you link the blocks by using your hash. So it's not, you know. So if you usually the height of a block means, you know, they are one after another one. And if you put in an array, you automatically get the index of the array is the height, you know. If you put in here 2 blocks in an array, you get the blockchain, you know, and the array element 0 is the genesis, the block 1, block 2, block 3. You have easy access, you know. And so that's, in 2 lines, you have a fully functional blockchain. And now, am I making it up? So the important part, where the minister might be right, you know, it's not a linked list. The difference between a linked list and a blockchain is the magic crypto, the cryptographic hash magic. And the cryptographic hash magic links the blocks. And the magic properties, you cannot change it, you know. If you change the content of the block, your hash changes. And if you change your content and the hash changes, the link is broken, you know. If you change the block content, you break the link. And if you break the link, the blockchain is broken. And if you have a broken blockchain, then, you know, that's the magic. And so if you use just the print, you know, you give in Go format print and you give it the block. And this is how it looks like, you know, the seconds from 1970. So it's like the time in integer. And why do they use this format? They use this format just, you know, it's shorter, you know, to, if you save it on the database, it's just easier to save. It's just an integer. Then the hello cryptos, you know, you have to imagine these are the transactions, the payload. And then the 2 important parts are here are the hash of the block and the hash link to the previous block. And you see, you know, the 0 is the made up. So you see that's the genesis block. And if you look closely, you know, this hash and this hash here, do you see a difference? So that's the magic link of the blockchain. And so if I would change here just 1 letter, uppercase, lowercase, you know, the hash changes immediately, and then the link is broken. Cryptographic magic. And so if you post this online, it's like, oh, this is not a blockchain, you know. You are screwing me. You are a scammer. Just accused. They don't want to be accused of being scammer. So are you a scammer? So what proof of work, you know? Proof of work and consensus. That's, you know, distributed, decentralized, proof of work. That's, can you add proof of work? Okay, maybe 2 lines of code and we have proof of work. So, and that's another important feature of proof of work is the lottery. The lottery against corruption. And yeah, so how does the proof of work work and the consensus? So the magic about Bitcoin and the blockchain is the lottery. And so what you do is, if you calculate the hash, every time you calculate the hash, if you have hello cryptos, you always get the same hash, you know? Same input, same hash. And the hash is always 256 bits. And in this case, we have seen to calculate the hash, we use the transactions, the data, the previous hash, and then we have the timestamp. And so, yeah. And so how can we make this in a lottery, and how can we make it in a consensus that everybody agrees that these blocks are authentic and they're real, the truth and everything. And so how it works is, it's if you create a hash in Bitcoin, you know, it takes 10 minutes to find the hash. How come? You know, if I calculate the hash, I'll show you later, if I calculate this hash in Go, on this, my little computer, it's 800,000 hashes in a second. So I can calculate 800 or 1 million hashes in a second. So why would it take me 10 minutes to calculate the hash, you know, to prove that I win the lottery. And every hash calculation is a lottery ticket. That's the proof of work. You can only win the lottery if you calculate a hash. You know, there's the joke that somebody says, you know, God, you know, I believe in you, you know, you are the best and whatever, but I'm disappointed, you know. I want to win the lottery, you know, and I believe in you, and 10 years passed, 15 years, and I'm not winning the lottery. And then God says, you know, you fucking loser, buy a ticket, and you're going to win, you know. Because he was complaining, you know, he's not winning the lottery, but he was not buying any tickets, you know. And so here, the magic is, the proof of work is, you can, how do you prove that you are playing the lottery? You can only prove by calculating the hash. And every hash calculating is a lottery ticket, and you have to find the lucky number. But where is the lucky number? So the lucky number is, let's go to the next one. The lucky number, yeah. So an important part, the crypto magic secure hash. So the first part is, I already mentioned it, so Bitcoin is using the SHA-256. Anybody knows what it stands for? It's like Sweet Home Austria, still hacking away. So the secure hash SH-256 is the secure. And so we are getting back to the secure part. It's a secure hash algorithm. And anybody knows who invented, that's the conspiracy theory, who invented and who gave this SHA to the world? Is the National Security Agency, NSA, from the United States. Anybody know these guys? They are watching you right now. So, hello. So they designed this algorithm, which is great because you know it's secure. How do you know that it's secure? We trust them, you know. No, I'm just kidding. If you have a cryptographic algorithm, by definition, you cannot trust anybody. And the only way to trust that it's working, you have to publish. So this is an open algorithm. There's no secret, you know. And it was analyzed. Anybody can analyze it. And so it's open, you know, public domain, no secrets. But it was designed and donated by the National Security Agency of the United States. And so the secure, how can you create a secure hashing algorithm? And the most important part about a secure algorithm is if you change one bit, you know, the hash changes completely, you know. And what does this tell you for a lottery? You know, if you do gaming or gambling, what's your source of randomness, you know? Because if you want to crack a gambling machine, you just have to find out, you know, that actually it's not random. If you know the random seed, you know, then you can calculate their, you know, pseudo-randomness. And so here the random part is, if it's secure, it's by definition, if it's the more secure, the more random, you know. And the more random is, there's no way you can calculate, if you change a bit, there's no way to calculate, you know, how this how the hash is going to change. And so this is the perfect for two parts. The perfect part is the lottery. How can you find the lucky number? The only way to find the lucky number is, there's no way to calculate it. The only way to find this, you have to try and try and try and try. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how there's no way you can shortcut to any way. And the other one, who is going to find the lucky number? You know, if you want to fight corruption, then in the Greek democracy, what have they done when they invented democracy? So they tried different things. One way is, let's say, how in Russia, you know, you elect one guy, and then you have the next election, and suddenly, oh, we have 200 million, or let's say we have 100 million people, and then in the next election, oh, what surprise, the same guy, but we have 100 million people, you know. That's, and so here, who is going to win the lottery the next time, you know? Every 10 minutes in the blockchain, a new block, a new lottery, who is going to win, you know? Is every, you know, I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning, that's, you know? And then the guy who's winning, he's checking if everything is in order, you know? If every time the same guy is checking if everything is in order. And so the magic part of this lottery is that it's random, and you don't know who is going to win. And so if you have a network, let's say with 200 nodes and everybody is calculating, you know, then every time you have a perfect distribution. And it's a perfect distribution also against corruption, because every time, you know, you don't know who is going to check the next time that your books are in order. You know, you don't know who is going to find the lucky ticket. And so, and the important part, it's how does now the magic, so sorry for the long story. So how does it work in practice? So this magic lucky number, it's called nonce, not for nonsense, but it stands for number used once, you know, because the lucky number, you use it just once. And how does it work? Every time you calculate the hash, you get the same results, you know. And so how do you get a different hash? You get a different hash by just adding a number, you know. If you add the number 1 and you calculate your hash, you get a different hash. Now you add 2, it's a different number, a different bit, you get a different hash. And now the challenge is, what is the big challenge? Anybody know what's the big challenge in Bitcoin and the proof of work in the hash? So the big challenge is, if you've seen the hash above, the big challenge is, this is just a number, you know. The computer is working with numbers and bits, and the hash is just, you know, a big integer number. And so the challenge is, this number has to start, let's say in this case, with 4 leading zeros, you know. And so this is a hex number, which means 4 leading zeros. 1 hex number is 4 bits, and 4 hex numbers with 4 zeros is 4 by 4 is 16 bits, and 16 bits of 0. And so the number has to start with 16 bits of leading zeros. And so, and to calculate the probability, if you throw the dice, and the dice has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you have 6 possibilities, you know. If you have 2, then it's 6 multiplied by 6. If you have 3, you know, that your chances to have 6, 6, 6, and in this case 0, 0, 0, you know, you have to find 6 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 6. So in this case, it's hexadecimal. Anybody knows how many numbers does a hex have? Decimal has 10. So it's 16. And so 16, 1 0 is 16. So what's the chance here? So if you're looking for a single 0, your chance is you need 16, maximum 16 tries on average, because it's not a perfect distribution almost. And so for 4, it's 16 multiplied by 16 multiplied by 16 multiplied by 16. 4 times 16. And the important part, it's exponential, you know. The Bitcoin is looking for 23 zeros, and you need, all the computers in the world need 10 minutes. And so to calculate, you know, that's what changed. There's not a big change. The change is we have this number used once, nonce, and we start by 0, and then a for loop. This is the, you know, a loop forever. And what you do is you calculate the hash, and what you do is you calculate the data, the transactions, you add the nonce, and then you check if this hash that you get back has the bingo, you know, the lucky number, the leading zeros. If it doesn't have the leading zeros, then what you have to do, you add +1, and you try the next one, yeah? And so on this computer, this might be more, there might be 1 million hashes in a second, you know, calculating. But in this case, you just have to find this number. So what is changing? So we add the nonce, the lucky number. You know, if anybody wants to check up if this block is in order, then you just need the hash and the nonce, and then you calculate it in milliseconds. But if you create a new block, if you mine a new block, you know, compute hash with proof of work, you go and it has to find the nonce, you know, the lucky number. That's how the mining works. And so am I making it up? So that's version 2. Version 2 of the blockchain. So we added 3 more lines, and we are good for, we have proof of work and we have consensus. The consensus just means that the longest blockchain wins, you know. Every 10 minutes a new block, and the longest chain wins. But if you see the difference here, if you look at the hash, you know, you see here that's the nonce, And what do you see in the hash? You know, it has the hash has 4 leading zeros. And the nonce, you know, if you remember, the nonce was the loop forever, you know, and it's calculating 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the question is, you know, how many tries? So this block, you know, how many hashes did it calculate, try? So in this algorithm, you know, it tells you 105,000 hashes, you know, and after 105,000 hashes, 1 and 6, of course, you know, it has found the lucky number. And so now the question is, this guy above, you know, the lucky number, what's the lucky number? How many did they have to calculate? So it was 42,278, you know. And you see, the numbers are different. Why are they different? Because it's random, you know. And it's pure chance. You can calculate your chances, you know. If you increase the difficulty, you know, if you increase the difficulty to, let's say, 40 zeros, you know, you are calculating, you know, the universe will no longer exist. That's the magic of the big numbers. Okay, I mentioned it a couple of times. What is your hash rate, you know? Or, you know, what's your rate? How much do you charge? But in this case, you know, what's your hash rate of if you're mining or your computer? And so all this, I think I have it before. If I have this open blockchain, anybody knows the open blockchains on GitHub? So these blockchains, they are, if you go to GitHub, open blockchains, plural with S, and then there's awesome blockchains, Blockchain.go. There's like a JavaScript, Ruby, Python version, but there's the Go version. And so this code, you know, you just grab the file, public domain, and you can run it on your own. And this, what's your hash rate? This is on open blockchains. And so I'm a big fan of Secure Hash 256. So we have a fan page. It's called Awesome Secure Shell 256. Yeah? And it has hash rate Go. It's a small, I'm not sure if you can say for Go code a script. But that's the, you know, it's missing the import. But it's, if you click here, it's online. You have the code. And what it does is the difficulty. So the factor is the number of zeros. So to find 1 0, you see 1 0, 4 bits, hash calculated 56, the time 0, you know. It's so fast, it's not even a millisecond. It doesn't even, you know, it's so fast. Anyway, but factor 2, you know, I'm still waiting, you know, factor. So I just do factor 7, you know. If you do factor 8, it's 15, 20 minutes. And factor 9, it's, you know, you're waiting, you know, couple of months, because it's exponential is no joke. Anyway, so what it does, it has just a loop, you know, 1 to 7 for the difficulty, and then what it does, the strings repeats with the factor is just, you know, 2 zeros, 3 zeros, 4 zeros, 5 zeros, 6 zeros, and here's the magic, you know, time now, before, and time afters, and then I compute the proof of work, you know, and this is, you know, it calculates hash, 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 until it finds it, and then it tells you know how much time and how many hashes, and if you divide the hashes through the seconds, you get your rate per second. So I have a very, you know, I work at a big insurance company, so they have old computers, IBM, it's still I think IBM, and so I posted it on Twitter, and a colleague from tried it at his computer, and so you see it here, I get 800,000 hashes in Go on a low-end notebook computer in Go. And so here the Apple, state-of-the-art Apple notebook, anybody guess how much he can do? So he had like 3 million, you know, 3 times 3 million hashes per second. And before I've done it in Ruby, so you can laugh at Ruby. Ruby, a scripting language, had about 100,000. So it was like the just same machine, you know, using Go was 8 times, which is to be expected. You know, the rule would be that C code is 10 times faster than, you know, if a Python or Ruby script. But yeah, so it's like, let's say this machine would have like a million or more hashes per second. And Yeah, so now and you can run, you're encouraged to run it on your machine. And now the quiz is, you know the hash rate of Bitcoin, of the network? Or the other one is if you buy a chip, a mining chip, you cannot compete anymore. So a mining chip, I think they have like a billion hashes in a second. At least a billion, Anyway, and so what's the magic, the hash rate is still going up, And this is the crazy part, you don't need it. So the part of the hash rate is completely useless. There's no value in this crazy hash part, What's anybody, if that's to see if you're sleeping, what's the idea of the hash by doing the hashing? So they do the hashing that you want to have a block every 10 minutes, Because if there's no limit, you can create 100,000 hashes, in a minute, in a second, But because it's so hard to find the hash, you are guaranteed, you only get a new block every 10 minutes. And so this crazy part, has the only meaning is, they want a 10-minute, or if you have a different blockchain here, you can say the Ethereum guy, they are crazy. I think they have 10 seconds, a block every 10 seconds. So they have trouble, distributing the blocks in the network because every 10 seconds you're trying to catch up, and the next every 10. And so 10 minutes, it's if you go around the network, it's nice and slow. Anyway, yeah, and so this is the only part is about the two parts, the hashing, the meaning of the hashing. The one part is the 10 minutes, and the other one, the secure part, is the random lottery. For the corruption is who is going to do the next block. That's the part is it's random, and so you are getting, if there are 100 people, then you get to build your block, and you should get your reward. So that's the corruption in the Bitcoin, why it failed. Because the idea was everybody can take part in the mining, and you get, if you do the block, you get the Bitcoin. But now you have a big mining pool, and they are winning every 50% mining pool or whatever. But the idea was, that every node, is taking part in the network, and then you get your Bitcoin, and every time, there can be that's the famous 51% rule. If 51% are corrupt, they can take over the network with. Anyway, so the question is, what's the Bitcoin hash rate? And you see, it's going to the moon. It's going to the moon. And so I think if their number, I think it doesn't exist, but it's like 25 million trillions of hashes. But you can imagine, this computer, and all the computers in the network need 10 minutes to find, and it's just, I think it's just 23 zeros, and it's 256, so you can add more, So it's impossible to, which brings us to the next part, Bitcoin blockchain mining, it's completely nuts and crazy, and the energy waste and so forth, and 10 minutes to commit. Okay, you can do the Ethereum where you have 7 seconds and whatever. Anyway, so it's, but you're, privileged. Now you know the magic, of the magic, because if you read the papers, the article in the newspaper, it's like the mathematical puzzle to find for the mine. It's usually, it's very mythical, how it works. But it's, it's super trivial. Free money. I'm giving away shilling. Who wants shilling? 100 shilling. It's worth 0, but get in on the ground floor. That's a joke. Get in on the ground floor, and it will go to the sky. So, anybody know Tulip Mania bubble in Holland? What year? You get 100 shilling. So it's 6037 B. Thank you. And what's the most expensive tulip? They no longer exist. I give you a tip. It was red and white, white with red. So it had white. What's the name? The leaves, and then sprinkled with red. Because the single color, they were the commons. They had no value. Only the multicolor. And so the Semper Augustus, Forever Augustus, the greatest emperor of the history. So Semper Augustus. And here I was trying to do, I have to skip this one. If anybody's interested, I'm going to add this one with adding transaction. So if you've seen I have Hello Cryptos, the data strings. But if you add the transactions, there's no magic, You just add the from to, the important part is, if it's a accounting ledger, you're sending the tulips or you're sending the money, then you have a from account and a to account. And it's called double accounting, double entry accounting, You have credit and debit. And if you add something to your book, always double entry, from to or debit and credit. And so in this case, Max to Isabel. So I'm adding this stuff in the next, sorry. And so what I'm trying to build for the Shilling Central Bank, a library, a Go library, which is on open blockchains, work in progress. And so, you can just use new block. So it's in an early stage, but it should be in the next weeks. And joking about, are you joking about the shilling? So the inspiration, there were lots of, Iceland was famous, there was the government, We give everybody the Aurora. And so there was, a small, they're like Graz. I think Iceland might have 200,000 people. So it's easy, to give everybody free money. And so was it working, It was working in the beginning, but then everybody wanted to exchange the new Aurora into dollars, And anybody guess what happened when everybody exchanged the Aurora and sells $2? It collapsed immediately, if everybody sells. So the important part to remember, hodl. Never sell, because if you're starting to sell, it's going to collapse. So hodl. Anyway, so Dutch Gulden. It's no joke, it's real. And I've given the JavaScript talk in September. And so I updated this chart today. And the funny part is when in September, October, it was the market capitalization was $50 million, And now, you see, it survived the big 20,000 Bitcoin rally, and it's getting stable. But now it has tripled almost 4 times. So instead of the 40, 50,000 millions, now the Dutch Gulden is almost 165 million US dollars. It's almost 200 million US dollars. So the shilling, bit shilling, rock solid. We are not scamming anybody in Austria. Rock solid. We are honest people. So, and the important part is invest only if you trust. If you trust this honest guys. And it's going to launch, and you see, it's not just a white paper, it's working software. I have an image here. The central bank note, and you click mine block on the test network. Anyway, it's going to start, you get 43 shillings in the beginning. That's the country code of Austria, Bitcoin started at 50. So we are starting with 43. And then the national day, October 26th. So hold your breath, 197 days, We are launching in 197 days, but probably only the test network. But yeah, the important part is it's on GitHub, On GitHub, github.com Bitcoin. If anybody has checked the Bitcoin code on GitHub, anybody knows how many lines of the initial Bitcoin revolution, how much C code? Anybody wants to guess? I can give you an example. I work at an insurance company, and we do, let's say, car insurance, and the enterprise Java guys, factory of factory and over-engineering, incredible, And so let's say this one calculation for this insurance for a car, 200,000 lines of Java code, Just, 4 inputs, and then you get, oh, that's your insurance premium. So these factory Java guys, 200,000 lines of code. But the Bitcoin, billions of dollars, how many lines of C code? You can go to GitHub, github bitcoin.com, and this is github.com bitchilling, That was the, because the shilling was taken on GitHub, so I had added the bit shilling. So it's about, I think it was 50,000 lines of C code. And there's one guy, you know, I'll show you later. There's one guy who's going, oh, I do it in Go, you know. If I do it in Go, you know, I need 3,000 lines, you know. So he has done, you know, he's not accepting any contribution because he wants to, but if you build it in Go, you know, a single person can do it, you know, not over the weekend, but you can do it in 10 days, and you have a complete from scratch, you know. I'm building 2 versions. I'm building a Go version and a Ruby version for the bit shilling, but it's the same, you know. Building your central bank, it's, you know, there's no magic. In a Ruby, it's, if you have a library, you know, it's 3,000 lines of code. Anyway, so the important part, yeah, that it's online, GitHub, and check the code. There's the Go version, and so the Bitcoin magic. What's next, you know? Money, 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 of course. But if you're greedy, or not greedy, you know, you want to conquer the world, you know. Is anybody, what's next for the blockchain? What can you put on the blockchain, you know? Now you can print money, you know. But what more can you do, you know? Is this good enough? You can put cats, you know, kitties, small cats, puppies, small dogs, yeah. You can put them on the blockchain. And what's the point of putting cats or dogs on the blockchain? Of course, you turn it into money. You sell. They are tradable, and you can call them collectibles, you know, or digital assets. Anybody own crypto kitties, crypto cats? Nobody's invested. You're not yet convinced. More puppies, the dogs, or the Lambos. You know, the Lambos are anyway. So the kitties, puppies, dragons, Lambos. But it sounds funny. So, and that's also, I'm doing the crypto kitties because, you know, I'm doing it's serious business. So I'm in the beginning from the byte heroes, you know, I'm saying they're, you know, if you do this token sale, they're worth nothing. And so it's serious business, you know, they are threatening me to, you know, we are going to ruin your life, you know. You're accusing us, you know, we are running away or whatever. Anyway, so if you play with the blockchain, it's serious business. And so fun, yeah, this crypto kitties, that's a great part, you know. You can play with the blockchain and who's taking you serious, you know. I'm trading kitties, and how many kitties do you have? And you can breed the kitties. There's even one guy, he's selling Japanese, and you can breed, you know, and that's how you create new value, you know, and then they're their own and you can sell. And there's something called that's how crazy it is. There's something called the Japanese, or one part was the celebrities, you know. You can collect celebrities. That was a complete scam. And that guy collected the money, and after 3 weeks, you know, the site is offline and it's not coming back, you know. He has collected a couple of millions. Anyway, but there's one inspired by the celebrities. It's called Japanese porn stars. And then you can breed them, you know, but you don't see the action. So it's really a fun. So the kitties are a great part, dragons, lambos. But the important part is the non-fungible tokens, which means unique bits and bytes. So every cat is special. Every cat is special. And if you have a dollar is a dollar, a shilling is a shilling. You can add a shilling. And so if you trade a shilling, you know, you don't care. But if you trade cats or these collectibles, every is different. And so now the magic bird, serious business, you know. It's not any, let's say land, you know. They are selling, there's one called crypto countries. You can buy Austria, you know, you can buy the United States. And the guy got greedy. Why did he got greedy with this scam? So he in the world there are 200 countries, you know, and he has the map, and you can buy Austria, and it works. The guy, you know, if you buy Austria, you own it, you know, but it's capitalism. If somebody comes along and pays more, then you know he will own. So the guy who pays more is going to snatch it, and he gets his commission, yeah. And the guy under him in a classic pyramid scheme, you know, he gets also his money back, you know. And the last one is holding the bag, but you know, you're holding Austria. You're precious. So it's fantastic. So it was working like fantastic, but then he got, okay, I'm screwed, 200 countries, I want more money, money. So what was his next adventure? Crypto cities, There are 10,000 cities in the world. So he's selling, you can buy Vienna, you can buy, New York, and so forth. And because it's a pyramid scheme, you cannot buy Vienna, first. You have to buy first Graz, smaller cities. And then once you have invested, you can buy the bigger ones. Anyway, the important part, land, houses, apartments, that's so the CryptoKitties sound funny or something, but the serious business is the collectibles. You can put apartments, houses, lands, cars, you can put everything on the blockchain, and then you can trade, if you buy a house, you have this, the revolution, land registry, house, and everything is tradable on the blockchain. And the best way to get started are the CryptoKitties. So that's how they look. Everyone is they have different genes, generation, and everyone is different. They have different colors. Anybody knows the most expensive, the Genesis, the most expensive cat sold? How much did they donate?
Yeah, I think it was 100,000.
How much?
100,000.
100,000. Yeah, good guess. Yeah. So they sold. It was also their founding cats. So they sold 3 or 4 cats for $100,000, the biggest one. But now the cheap ones now, the breeding fee, and Karl Marx, is nobody is going to sell you a cat below the breeding fee. And so it's about, I think, $1 or something, the cheapest. And now they're more than 500,000 every 10 minutes, every 50 minutes. In this case, every 50 minutes, they have a generation 0 cats for 1 year until November. And 100,000, the most expensive. But you see these ones. Anyway, if anybody's interested, I have the CryptoKitties and the copycats, a Ruby version of CryptoKitties. And then I have the copycats on the blockchain, the crypto collectibles. And that's the awesome blockchains. And now the important part, the articles. So anybody, if you check in Go, there are great series. So this guy, he has a series called Build Code Your Own Blockchain in Go. And every part is an article, and he shows on GitHub, he has the code. So the basic prototype, it adds proof of work, it adds transaction, then the addresses. So in my case, if I add the transaction, I have the name Josef Maria Teresa, and in the real world, you have, you use cryptography for your address number, like account number, addresses, and then the network. He builds the complete part. And there's this one that's last year, and this one is pretty new. I think it's January, February, March. Code your own blockchain in less than 200 lines, and then it has the mining and the networking part using a web service, and then you exchange with your node, you exchange your blockchain as JSON, and it even has latest technology, proof of stake. How can you make a steak? You need a cow, cut it apart, and then you grill. I think still free in Vienna, going to Donauinsel, to do steaks for free. Proof of stake. Yeah, so maybe I skipped this one, It's the part, it's with the tokens, and these are examples, Austrian blockchain on the rise, and you see ICO from Austria, high quality, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and so the hero guys. So why do I think, I was just putting on that, you should be extremely careful if you invest in this token, because a Bitcoin, everybody accepts Bitcoin, or, it's money. But these are called, these tokens are not money. The shilling is going to be, money, and it's half a joke. But these ones are so-called application tokens, You can only use it for the hero platform, It's not, nobody's accepting these tokens, only and so where's the decentralized part, Decentralized means, nobody's in charge. But here, if there's no hero, company, then there is no hero token, you know, because they are the only one accepting, and the value of the hero token, of course, is 0. But if you buy it, you know, you have to buy it for real money, and they tell you, what do they tell you, you know? Now they tell you, because it's going down, they tell you, just hodl it, you know? Because if you don't hodl it, you know, and you sell it, it's going down more, you know, and it will go to, how far will it go? It will go to 0, because this is, you know, they have no open source code or no platform, you can just, you know, and basically they just collected your money. And the part about this is there are two fools, you know. If you buy it, you are the fool. If you think, and here's a new one, you know. So this one happened last year, and this is going to happen now. It's called the Kraut. It's not the Kraut to eat in Austria, you know. It's the Kraut by Conda, Austria. And so they are tweeting, you know. They are tweeting February 20. They are tweeting, Safety crypto investors are investing, making a return on as high as 50,000%, you know. And then if you read this article, so I click on this article, and I'm not making up, to the moon, you know. We are here at the accelerator. Accelerate, you know. And we are going with the rocket. Where are we going? Where are the prices going? To the moon. Anyway, and so if you read this, paying off big times, if you don't get any interest, if you put your money on in the bank account 10% in stocks, you know, and here if you're, you know, Bitcoin, the poor Bitcoin only 1,000%, you know, but this token, you know, not only 1,000%, 50,000, you know, and they show you, you know, $100, you have $100, you know. You're not a big guy, a small capitalist, $100, and we give you, you know, $50,000, you know, in a year. How do you say, you know? Is it shabby? Little trading, yeah, just hodl. And so, what's the point of here? Of course, this is, of course, a bullshit, you know. And you think that's a scam or it's not a scam? I mean, if they are telling you, and that's people, of course, who doesn't want to get rich, you know? And more sophisticated, there is the Bitpanda Bandersky, you know, that's if the South Sea bubble in England, there was, you know, they invented the first real bubble, not the Tulip, there was the South Sea bubble in England. And that was, you know, England was not yet an empire, but it was the trade with the colonies, you know. And if we are going to trade with America, South America, you know, we are going to get rich because the Dutch, you know, they were getting rich trading in the East Indies. But the trouble was, you know, the Americas was part of the Spanish Empire. So, you know, so to trade, and it was a monopoly. So it was impossible to trade, but they were selling, you know, everybody was making up. And so Bitpanda, they are posting, 7 March, they are posting, yeah, we will offer, and they will collect, you know, 10 millions of dollars. They will collect, it's running now, you know. And they are telling you what are they doing with this magic money. They are building a future-proof solution, you know, that will create tokens for all blockchains, you know. You know, future-proof, you know. I was the opinion, you know, I don't know. So this might work, you know. I cannot predict the future. Who can predict the future? They can, you know, because it's future-proof. And then all platforms, you know, all blockchain platforms now, or also all blockchain platform in the future, you know. You see, this is, and they have great material, you know. They are not like the average, so they are collecting, so, and so why do you think, sorry, that's the, before the books, that's the before the last. So why do I think that's the, they are going to collect your money and then it's not going to, if you read the legal part about the token, it's not money, you know. And in the legal and the Pentos, you know, Bitpanda, they are the best. Well, you know, the most honorable. It's the first unicorn of Austria. So they will, you know, a billion euros, the first unicorn in Austria, the most valuable company startup. Anyway, and so if you read this, the legal thing, it is in whatever form, you know, it doesn't represent any, you don't have any claim at all, yeah, and they will not exchange it, you know. There's no, you cannot say, oh, I want my money back, or I want just this seat, you know. I gave you money, you know, for your enterprise, and if it's not working out, at least, you know, sell off your furniture or whatever, you know. You have zero, you know, nothing. So there's no claim, yeah, and you cannot exchange it in money. And at any time, you know, they can do with the money whatever they want. You know, you cannot say, oh, you said we have to. You are building a platform, yeah. They don't have to build a platform. You know, they can do with the money. It's at any time they can sole discretion. Discretion means they can do what they want. You know, so my liberal interpretation is thanks for the free money, easy money, and thanks for holding the bag. Yeah, that's the important part. Hodl, hodl, hodl. You know, don't sell it off. Yeah, find greater fools. Find greater fools. Do their marketing. We make you rich. You know, and so what's the point is, you know. What's the value? It's my opinion. You know? Investment advice. Please advise your lawyer. You know? It's so Bitcoin has value. You know, the network and for general payment. But this one, you know, these application tokens is, and of course, business. You know, in business, do you have friends? You know, money. You know, talks. You know, and in business is business. You know, it's not. Oh, you're so nice. You know, my little friend. You know, if you're on Wall Street, you know. Wall Street owns, if you read the history, digital gold. So Wall Street owns, you know, the Bitcoin. You know, they are holding because it was, you know, it was cheap. You know, the $50 million. You know, that was just peanuts. You know, they bought it all, and now, so. But the greed is, that's the funny part. The greed is destroying. You know, because if you have money and you're not using it, you know, you're holding. If you in the history, if you're gold, you know. The Spanish they were thinking, you know, we are collecting the gold from the Americas, you know, and we are the richest, and the British, that, you know, Adam Smith said, you know, fuck your gold, you know, you're not rich, you know, the wealth of the nation is not your gold, you know, it's what you know you have to produce and trade, you know, that's how you, and if you have money and you're not using it, you know, then the value of the money decreases, you know, if you cannot pay with your Bitcoin, you know, you're destroying the system, you know. So the greed, you know, they are holding, yeah? So they are destroying their own, the greed destroys Bitcoin because they are not using it for payment. Anyway, so I might just be, that's just my opinion, but read up, there's a great book, so there's lots of books, you know, blockchain is the greatest part of so this, anybody knows this Attack of the 50 Feet blockchain? It's $15 from a British guy from London. So if you read this one, you know, that's fantastic. He's a professional skeptical, you know, and he can write, you know, funny. So, and so also, you know, about scams, and it's complete. And so this one is more serious, you know, Mastering Bitcoin. It's online free. That's, you know, it's fantastic. It's the book called The Bitcoin in Detail. So that's really the second edition even. It's on GitHub. You can buy the book too. And so it explains the Bitcoin and magic. There's blockchain for dummies, you know. It's not bad, you know. It's free download. It's for business blockchains for IBM and Hyperledger, you know. But it's, you know, what's the hype about business? So that's a free download. Maybe you have to give them the email, but if you click on the link, and there's a new, I'm reading this one, came out 3 or 4 weeks, The Truth Machine from New York Times, Wall Street Journal journalists from New York. The Truth Machine, you know, the blockchain. And so they are saying, you know, the IBM blockchain is a fraud, you know, because it's just a database. You know, I was at the IBM meeting, and then they are selling blockchains. And then the guy was asking, you know, how many users does your blockchain have, you know? They say IBM, oh, we have one user, you know, one node. Oh. So if you have one node, you know, maybe it's just a database, you know, and that's, you know. So if you have a blockchain, it has to be, you know, public, and then you have to, if you have 1,000 nodes or something, you know. But if you have 2 nodes, you know, then it might be a little stretch. And then you have 2 nodes, and it's not public, and everybody has to log in, you know. I was a guy at the shilling meetup. I have a shilling meetup every 2 months to build a shilling. He has a web shop, and he wants to put his web shop on the blockchain. It's fine, you know, just put on, you know, now your web shop is on the blockchain and Microsoft Access, it's fine, you know. You log in, and they buy it, you buy the stuff, and you record in the database, you know. And so the IBM, of course, they are a different level, but it sells, you know, blockchain, and they sell their cloud service. But the part is, you know, that's another discussion. But you're all using the blockchain, because you have seen the magic part of the blockchain is the crypto hash, you know. And the other magic part is the distribution, you know. You can download, if you git clone, you get the whole history, you know. And in Bitcoin, you know, you download the whole history, all the blocks, all the commits. It's like a git clone. You know, if you run your Bitcoin node, first you have to clone, you know, the repo. And the funny part is, of course, it doesn't have any fork. The consensus is a single branch, you know. In Git can handle, you know, these the branches. The branches in a blockchain and the modern Lightning network. Anybody knows how they're called, the branches in the Lightning network? State channels, you know. You open a state channel, it's a branch, you know, and then if you merge it back, you know, that state channel is, you record it back in the commit, you know, in the block. And so if you do a git merge, you know, and as with the last one, so that's to wrap up, I hope it wasn't too long, is they're always funny. And the same is with blockchain, you know. Anybody understands Git? You know, I'm working a couple of years now with Git, and if I have a trouble, you know, it's here I don't, you know, overanalyze. I just delete it and do a fresh Git clone. And so with Bitcoin, you know, who understands? That's why it's so crazy, you know, and the money's involved. You know, who understands blockchain and Bitcoin, and so how do we use it? You know, no idea. You know, you just memorize and you hodl, you believe, and you're getting rich. And of course, you have to grow the network. That's the pyramid scheme. So yeah, so thanks for it's online and questions, and I hope it wasn't too long. So. Yeah.